Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, so welcome to this. This is for proposals. This section of webinars is for proposals in the environmental management section, which is where your proposal fits. My name is Edward Hibbert, and I'm chairing this. And I have a background in charity in the UK, in a environmental and reuse charity called Freegal, and also an IT background. And also on this call, we have Mike, who you've met, who is one of the mentors for this festival. And he has been involved in local environmental projects. And we also have Terry Mohudin, who is doing communications for this festival and has experience in working in the energy and water environmental sectors. So the first thing I wanted to say was thank you for being here, and also well done for being here, because to get to this point, you have to have gone through quite a lot of effort and work, and also to have competed with other people. So just to reach this point is great. So you should feel good about that.
Thank you.
What we will do is we will ask you to spend about 5 minutes presenting your proposal, and then we will ask you questions about it for maybe 15 minutes, and then we will just wrap up and say what happens next. But you should be relaxed, you should be pleased to be here, we want you to be here, and we are keen to hear about your ideas. So if you want to tell us, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And first of all, I would like to thank you for making such an arrangement that we can present our ideas to you. It's a great opportunity for me. And yes, I want to present my idea. And can I share my screen? I want to.
Yes, Terry will just give you permission.
I've just been able to do that. Off you go.
I think you can see my screen now. So first of all, I think you guys know, but I'm telling you again that the name of my project is Project Booklance, and it's about saving our environment, saving our planet. And though I am working with many environmental organizations, so I have thought of that, let's make a change to make our world a bit more livable, more better than where we are right now. So I'm a student of a university, and a few months ago I asked my fellow batchmates and my juniors that where are their academic books they have studied last year, and where have they kept them? Do they even know that what have they done with it? So I asked about 30 people, and only 2 of them said me that yes, I have passed it to my juniors or those who need it, but most of them, about 15 people, they didn't even know that where they've kept their book and wherever they are. They just forgot about their books. So an idea came to my mind, and I researched about it, and I found that about 320 million books are thrown away each year rather than recycled or reused or something else. So my idea is about the next big thing. It's about protecting our environment. It will also make the best use of our resources, and it will also ensure the education despite of our economic barriers. So I will share my idea with you how this project goes. Under this project, there will be schools, colleges. So the school will be allotted with a certain number of books each year in the beginning of their academic year. And so the school, at the beginning of the year, they will provide the books to their freshers or seniors, whatever we say. And when the seniors complete their academic year, they go to their next year, they will pass their book to their juniors, and they will be allotted accordingly. And this is how the project goes on, that till the book comes to the condition that it is unable to use, that we can't use it anymore, it's come to the condition, then the school will change and they will allot new books to the juniors. And so this is basically thing. And now the question might raise that yes, we can pass the books, but why the kids, the children who study in school, colleges, they don't have the idea of environmental protection or whatever going on. So what will motivate them to do so, to take care of their books, to pass their to the juniors, and let the others, motivate others to do these things. So first thing that will come to my mind, that appreciation. The junior students who are kids, if we appreciate them at the end of the year, that how well they have kept their books and what condition they have kept it, so that will motivate them to keep their books in a better way, in a good manner. And when they go to the high school, I think the appreciation might not be enough for them to get motivated. So we can arrange the additional marks or extra grades to keep them motivated about what they're doing. And the benefits of this project, first of all, it's making education affordable for all. In my country, here in Bangladesh, there are many students, many young women and students, they can't just go to school for how much expensive they are. And the most of the expenses go for books. For they can afford the books and they can't afford the education. And this is keeping us backwards from getting the proper education for all, and ensuring the best use of our resources. We know that we are living in a certain time that our resources are not enough. We might face some crisis in the near future. The COVID-19 situation has taught us that when the world acts, then we humans become very much vulnerable to our earth, Mother Earth. So we should make the best use of our resources so that we can keep our world sustained, and then create a positive culture of sharing. The young kids, when we teach them about protecting our environment, share with their juniors, taking care of things, so this culture will keep themselves positive amongst our environment protection, among a good culture. And it will also spread the awareness of environment protection among the students from the early age. In this moment, when the world leaders or the head of the very large organizations, they sincerely ignore the impacts of environment protection, because if we become sincere about protecting our environment, there are consequences that will make their businesses slower and they will face losses. So we don't literally talk about it. So if we spread the awareness to them from the early age, they will know about it, and when they take they hold the steering of the world, they will be conscious, they will act what we have taught them from their early age. So when Neil Armstrong stepped on foot in 1969 on the moon, he said that this is one small step for man, but one giant leap for mankind. My project suggests the same thing. This might be sharing of a book. People will say, okay, it's just a sharing of a book. What can you do? There are many people who are making plastic bags, everything. This is just a little amount, but these small steps, the small things brings the change for a better world, for a greater things. So we should always focus on the small things which will bring us to the next big things. Thank you all. And this was the main idea of my project. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So that was interesting to hear you talk about it. We'll ask you a few questions. Could you say personally, for you, what makes you passionate about this project? Why is it important to you?
All right, thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to tell something about myself so that you can know about what I do. I am a fourth-year undergrad student of business administration. And besides my study, I work for an organization. It's called Meet You Foundation, that works for removing the negative impacts from our environment. So I am currently working as the president of this organization of the Bangladesh chapter. So when I have been working for this organization, I have seen that the main problem for environmental problems is our insincerity, our ignorance. So if we can make people aware of our projects, aware of our work, that will eventually make ourselves more conscious about our environment and these things. And because I'm a student and I have passed my school and colleges, and so I was always thinking about that what we can do from our place to make our world a better place. So this motivated me through thinking that yes, I can do from my place, I can take steps, and this project is the result of that, my thinking for our environment.
Yes, you're right. It's something that you can do from where your situation is, from where you are. Can I ask, at the moment, who pays for textbooks? Do students or their parents buy the textbooks?
In my country, there are some schools and not colleges, just schools. They're run by the government. So the books are provided to the students by our government. But if we look at the mass situation, because there are many non-government schools and colleges and universities, there is no allocation of books from the government. People have to buy their own books and they have to study.
So in the government schools, does the school not try to collect the books back from the students at the end of the year, or does that happen in those schools?
No, it never happens that the books that are provided and taken back. The situation is like this: the government at the beginning of the year or the end of the last year, they produce the books and they allot the books to the students, and they never take it back. The books, and it's another thing that is that the government produces more books than that are needed. So there are many books that lay off, and they are never used.
That does seem a great waste. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some massive waste.
So in the government schools, the schools could, since they already buy the books, and so they need encouragement to keep the books from one year to the next year. In the non-government schools, if people buy their own books or their parents buy the books, how will you organize the funding for the school to buy the books?
Thank you, sir. In the non-government schools and colleges, there are fees that they have to pay at the beginning of the year for their semester or year, whatever you do. So if we can arrange that, there will be a system that the students will pay for the books at the beginning of the year, and they will pass it for their students. So we can combine the cost of the books and then divide it among all the students. So this will eventually decrease the cost they are bearing for their school's fees and other things, and they will be combined in their educational fees in the whole year.
Okay, thank you. Terry, would you like to go next?
Thank you, Edward, and thank you, Terry, for the insightful view of what happens in Bangladesh with books, but which is close to my heart too. But I've got a couple of things to do with the practical application of your idea. First off is about actually the willingness of people to do it. I mean, you said you spoke to some friends, and that's where you got some idea of how this was happening. But have you talked to any students to say how willing would they be to keep their books nice? You know, it's another thing to think about. Have you asked them?
Yeah, I have many cousins and who are very young, and they study in schools, colleges, and every standards, literally 10 to 12. So yes, when I talk to them and I ask them, they're willing to work in this way. They're happy to know that yes, this can be done, this we can. But the lack of knowledge that we can do these things, we can motivate them to do so. This is what keeping us apart from doing these things. So, and you know that Bangladesh is not a very rich country. Many people cannot afford the proper education. Like they drop out from standard 5 to 6, they just go to work. But if this cost can be taken down, if we can do these things, many students will be willing to attend these schools and colleges for their education in the future. That yes, the costs are coming down. We are getting books. We don't need to buy books every year. So this will also motivate them to enter the schools and colleges, not just work here and there.
Yes, the benefits are there if they're achieved. It's just wondering if you've actually got that support of knowing that people will do it. It's that mindset. So some education is probably needed there. The other aspect of what I was going to ask about was some textbooks. I mean, I did drama and literature and things, but communications, which some books do not change in terms of Dickens is Dickens or Shakespeare, but some textbooks do get updated. So you may need to, have you thought about, if you will, segmenting, defining and targeting the sort of books you would recycle, as it were?
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Yes, I have thought about the idea that some books might change over the years. Some pages might add or some might be removed from the books. So we can do two things. First thing we can do is that we can change the book. If the book is changed a lot, then we can change the book, and only that book. It doesn't happen that all the books change in every year. It's just a book, some chapters or some part of the chapters. So what we can do is that if it's a huge change, then we can change the books. We can take the books from the students that, okay, return us the books that we have provided you. We'll give you the next, the improved edition of the books to you. And another thing we can do is that if we have a little change in the textbook, we can print out that part, we can produce that part of the book, and then we can serve it to the students. So, okay, this is the changed edition, this is the additional chapter, you study it from here. So we don't have to produce the new books.
Right. Now the wee bit in that, so in your idea being implemented, would that be your organisation, Booklance, would publish the books?
If any school or college and government are interested in doing such kind of works, under this project, we will look forward to it and we'll work on publishing or taking care of and watching, keep the watch that if they are doing the good things or not and how they are doing. Yes, I want to keep the track of their work. They will be under this project.
Okay. Thank you. To you, Mike.
Okay. Can I just say that what I loved about your project when I first read it was if people understood this, you could make a big change very quickly. And it's the thing that you said, and I spend a lot of time talking to people about continuous improvement by making small changes and embedding it, and another small change and embedding it, a small change and embedding it. And that's what I loved about your project was you could do very big things through something which is a blindingly simple idea, and it's great. So my question for you then is, you talked to us about the benefits, and it's to give you the chance to tell us more about the benefits, really. So you talked about education, you talked about making it affordable for everybody because the most expensive thing was the book. You talked about creating the positive culture. So you talked about the way in which, as I said, that could make this expand very quickly. You talked about a whole awareness of environmental practice. Could you just tell us a bit more about how you see those things happening, what the benefits will be, and how far you think you are down the line to that, and just to tell us a bit more about those benefits would be great.
Thank you, sir. In my country, here in Bangladesh, most people live under the minimum income level. So when children's school in our country, the primary education is mostly free. There are some costs, but it's mostly free. So the parents are willing to send their kids to school just to pass their time, spend 1 or 2 years. And when time comes, they send their children to work in a tea shop or anything very small works. And most of the time, the kids they meet don't have a good friend. They go in the wrong path, and sometimes they do drugs, they don't study, and they fall apart. So we are losing a very important part of our youngsters who could have done a lot of things if they are guided for proper educations. Yep. So my suggestion is that we utilize these things. We do something for them, whom we are losing from the early age. We are losing the potentials, the efforts, what we could have achieved if we have taken action from the early ages. So if we can cut the costs, most of the poor people, they understand that they need to send their kids to school, they need to make them educated. If they're educated, they will go to better places, they can do things. But what they are backing up when they know about the costs, they can't afford their children to go to school. So this made me realize that what can I do for them to make them educated, get them educated, and invest these youngsters to do something better than what they're doing right now.
I think that's
okay.
great. Yeah.
Thank you. I wondered, have you thought about transferring books between different schools as well as between different years?
So transferring is books from different school
from one
might
school
not
to
be
another. Yeah.
This might not be needed because there are students coming in every year. So if we allot a book for a school 1 year, there is no gap in that school that no student will join this school. So we are having students in that particular school, so we don't need to pass that book to another school. We have a limited students seat every year, you might say 50 or 60. So that 60 books is, if the 60 books are allotted for a class, then we will have new students every year in that class. So there we don't need to pass that school, pass the books to another schools.
Are the numbers the same from 1 year to the next year, like 40 this year and still 40 the next year?
It might differ 5 to 6 highest, but it don't differ like 20, 30. If the seats are 50, there might be 49, 48 students. They won't increase. Like if we have the seats for 50, we don't usually attend 60 students. So it will remain the same.
Okay, thank you. So it would be lovely to talk about this for much longer, but we don't have much longer. It's very nice to see how you're trying to do something really practical and achievable from a position of where you are that could actually, as Mike said, make a big difference quite easily and straightforwardly if you can get people to do it. What we will do is we will review this along with other applications, and then we will make some decisions hopefully by the end of the week, and then we will come back to you about the next steps in this process. But I just wanted to thank you for taking the time and to show us your idea, and I really hope something happens with it, because it sounds like a horrible waste of resources and money that could be used elsewhere to have people buying these books each year.
Thank you, sir. And
yes,
I would like to thank you.
I just wanted to add thank you.
I would like to thank you all for your time, for listening to my idea, for this opportunity and everything. And yes, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good luck.